So next up is a note that's not really one of my favourites. That's sandalwood. Now sandalwood can come in many different forms. Again, as we know, it can generally speaking it's used as a kind of creamy, almost lactonic kind of wood, isn't it? I always think of it as like a wood milkshake. It's very much like that. It could also be a little more on the woody side, where sometimes I struggle to smell the difference between that and cedar. It can be quite woody, and other times it can be again like cedar, almost matchsticky, but it's a much lighter kind of matchsticky kind of feel. I tend to struggle with the more lactonic side of it. That's not to say there's no lactonic-y type sandalwoods that I like. I do, although it's rare. It's just one of them. I'd say it's not an everyday easy kind of dominant note for me. It's more I have to be in the mood for it. So yeah, we don't need me waffling on. Let's crack on. So first up on the list here for the indie, sort of a small French house, is Bon Parfumeur, and they all have numbers, which is quite frustrating, but never mind. And the one I'm going to talk about for sandalwood is a 302. Now this is a sandalwood, musk and iris mainly. They're what written on the bottle. There's other notes in there. There'll be, you know, a bit of vetiver and things like that. But what it is primarily it's kind of the sandalwood mixing. I can smell the iris kind of feel, flower, fancy kind of note, you know, moving towards more that kind of waxy kiss kind of lipsticky feel, but it smells blue and it mixes with the sandalwood and the musks really nicely. So what you've got is you do have that kind of creamy edge, but it mixes the iris, stops it being sickly and lactonic and what have you, and it gives it this kind of a thicker texture with it's just a smoothness. I wouldn't say it smells particularly overly floral, but you do get that idea in your head of seeing the blue iris flowers, which I know don't smell, it's the root. And yeah, I don't really need to waffle on too much about this, but it's really calm, and sometimes it can go a little bit chocolatey, which would be patchouli, but also iris can have that chocolate tinge to it, can't it? So it's probably a clever mixture of them both. I think it's one not always for layering, but can be layered and is probably intended for that. And it is just this smooth, warm, comforting, enveloping fragrance. It's really nice. Damn wind. It's a Bon Parfumeur 302. For the niche, this is one I absolutely have to admit I must be in the mood for. It's not always an easy love, and that's Piano Santal from L'Orchestre Parfums. And this one is that very lactonic, creamy sandalwood. There's other stuff going on in it, but that's actually predominantly what you get. Maybe with some lactonic notes in there and a little bit of spice. I don't think there's cumin in it, maybe caraway. There's something giving it, it's not a dirty edge, but that kind of, you know what I mean? They're kind of woody spices, aren't they, almost? And it has that little bit of something in there, maybe some pepper, which makes it a bit easier to wear. And now, like I say, I have to absolutely be in the mood for this. But when I am, it's such a comforting, friendly, bright one. You can see, again, in my head, like I explained, a sandalwood milkshake with some spices dropped on the top. Or, you know, you're getting in a bath of sandalwood milk. It's calm, it's easy, it's got that, you know, coolness of, I don't think I've ever bathed in milk. I'm not Cleopatra, but when we put the stuff for chicken pox in a bath, it doesn't smell like that, but you know, it's got that colour and it's cooling and it's calming and it relaxes you. That's kind of what it reminds me of. Yeah, anyway, that's Piano Santal from L'Orchestre Parfums. And for the designer is again, a massively underrated one, where there's an awful lot going on, and that's Dupes Le Balm, or Yop. It's dupe, isn't it? Well, I'm English, although I'm saying Le Balm like a... Dupes Le Bain is it's a lovely kind of, it's a mixture of spices, benzoin. To me, there's a bit of incest. There's kind of incense. Good God, that's to be something totally different, wouldn't it? And the warm spices. There's some aldehydes giving it that kind of bubble bathy feel. And to me, you're in a wooden bath outside under the stars. It's calming, again enveloping. And the sandalwood, it gives it this kind of woody base. It's not so creamy, it's just like a clean, smooth woodiness in the base, which again is really comforting and really warming, and adds to that feeling of like a special bath, you know, an outdoorsy bath, and that. So it's really lovely. So that's Dupe Le Balm. So yeah, that's sandalwood finished. Like I say, it's a mood kind of dominant note for me, because sometimes it can just be too much, and I struggle with lactonic notes in fragrance. I've always wondered, is that because I'm lactose intolerant? I can't stand the smell of milk, to be quite honest with you, so there might be a bit of that about it as well. Who knows? That's probably, you know, in my head, but the kind of woodier edge about it I do enjoy. And like I say, there's some sometimes when I'm in the mood for that kind of creamy thing. I mean, I'm calling myself lactose intolerant and that, but one of my favourite things on earth is ice cream. It makes me really quite ill. But you know, when you're in the mood for something like that, and I suppose there's a little bit of that with the sandalwood. Maybe sometimes it, you know, after I've sprayed it, I regret it and it gets a bit too much. But it's a lovely note, isn't it, anyway? What about yourselves? What's your favourite sandalwood fragrance? There are so many, aren't there? It's such a popular note at the moment. We've tended to swing more towards the lactonic kind of feel in modern times, haven't we? It does seem to be the more dominant. Maybe that's because that's what people recognise it as the most. But yeah, anyway, no waffling. Sorry about the cold, I'm so bunged up. But yes, thanks folks for watching. Bye.